Disclosure: I received a free review copy of this product from keymailer.co and developer Embers. A special thank you to Keymailer and developer Embers for this free review copy. Now on to the video proper. Hey! Hi! How you doing? This is Ryan, and welcome back to the Gamertron Show. Now it's no secret that I love indie video games. I've said this many times before in previous videos, and I will take any and every opportunity to talk about them, promote them, support them, and showcase them to all of you. The indie game space is thriving with creativity, variety, and honest-to-goodness passion projects. It's why the vast majority of my most anticipated video games of any and every year, especially this year 2023, are indie and AA middle market video games. And one of my most anticipated indie games of this year 2023 that I was very much looking forward to. I was very excited for a game that really appealed to me and I just loved the look of was Strayed Lights. An atmospheric action-adventure video game combining a wordless experience with cinematic fights based around colors. Restore your light that was torn by shadows and face endearing creatures deformed by their emotions. Now, I've had my eye on this game for some time and was fully expecting to have to purchase it myself. So imagine my surprise and my delight when I was given the game for free thanks to Keymailer. Now, having finally played the game for myself, I can safely say what I was looking forward to the most about Strayed Lights more than exceeded my expectations. And with this being the debut title of a brand new indie studio, Strayed Lights being the first game they've ever developed and published, well, it makes Strayed Lights all the more impressive. However, keep in mind, it's not a perfect game. It's certainly got some issues and some areas that could be improved upon, but for developer Embers' very first video game ever, it's an undeniable triumph. And I will now be following this developer with great interest, looking forward to whatever they produce next. Now, what is it about Strayed Lights that has me lavishing it in all this praise? Well, it comes down to what I would argue to be the three key most important elements of the game: the visuals, the music, and the boss battles. When it comes to the visuals, well, I think it's pretty clear looking at any footage whatsoever of this game that Strayed Lights is just gorgeous. It's beautiful. It's a very eye-catching, very pleasant art style, with an emphasis on vibrant, expressive colors that demand your interest. Some of these environments, man, I cannot deny there was many a time where I just stopped and stared. Almost all of the landscapes in this game look like beautiful paintings come to life. And what makes these visuals all the more crazy, all the more impressive, is that this is all coming from Unreal Engine 4. It really goes to show you that any talented team of video game developers can really create wonders with any version of the Unreal Engine. Now, on a personal note, I really love the character designs in this game. All these various alien humanoid creatures that are mostly constructed of deep, dark blacks, but have all their defining features and characteristics highlighted in bright colors of blue, orange, and purple. I personally really dig the aesthetic of creatures and beings being mostly formed of solid colors. This also has the added benefit of making them stand out more in the environment, while making the environments stand out more when in comparison to the characters. Honestly, I could go on for hours about the brilliant use of color in Strayed Lights. It's an integral part of the game's atmosphere, alongside even the game mechanics and story. Color really is kind of everything in Strayed Lights. However, good graphics and a pretty art style can only take you so far. You still need good audio and good gameplay if you want to make an overall good game. Lucky for us in the audio department, Strayed Lights passes with flying colors. And yes, that pun was intentional. The soundtrack, the music of Strayed Lights. It's really, really great stuff. Here, just listen to it for yourself. The music in Strayed Lights perfectly complements the visuals in building an atmosphere, setting a tone, and when it comes to boss battles, truly elevating the tension and excitement. Ah yes, the boss battles, the stars of the show, and what I would argue is the main selling point, the primary draw of Strayed Lights. These are some truly superb boss battles. These are what I was looking forward to the most about Strayed Lights, and they did not disappoint. They exceeded my expectations. These are some truly masterfully constructed boss battles. If you love boss battles in video games, if you are a fan of boss battles in video games, if bosses in video games are something that you look forward to, then you have to play Strayed Lights. They're visual spectacles. They're challenging, but fair. They're varied, with all of them having unique mechanics that are exclusive to them. And one particular aspect that I personally love is how all the bosses' character designs almost instantaneously inform the player about the individual stories of each of these bosses as characters, as well as telegraph to the player what kind of movesets and attacks these bosses possess. Again, these bosses are just so well designed. I loved fighting them, I had so much fun defeating them, and I think the developers over at Ember realized they have some really great content on their hands, because in their very first content update for Strayed Lights, they made it so that you could easily replay these boss battles at any time and also replay them at a much higher difficulty. I think it's quite obvious, no secret here, that Strayed Lights is obviously inspired by the Souls games, namely boss design in that style of game alongside combat with a focus on parrying and dodging. It's why I can easily recommend Strayed Lights to any gamers who are fans of Souls games. However, despite the obvious similarities and inspirations from Souls games, Strayed Lights also has a lot in common with rhythm games, as the primary game mechanic of Strayed Lights is being able to keep in rhythm and learn the patterns of the bosses by parrying their attacks at the right time while also matching their currently active color. While this gameplay mechanic isn't too unfamiliar, we've definitely seen something similar in other games, Strayed Lights nonetheless uses it to great effect. You can't button mash through these bosses, you gotta get to know them, learn their attack patterns, master them, only then will you overcome them, making victory all the more satisfying. So yeah, as I'm sure it's blatantly obvious by now, I really like Strayed Lights. Hell, you know what, I'll go as far to say I love the game. This is easily gonna be one of my top 10 favorite video games of 2023. However, as I stated earlier in the video, it's not perfect, and this is where I have to relay some of my criticisms and misgivings about the game. The number one biggest issue with this game, I would argue, is the content in between the boss battles. Progressing through and exploring these environments while engaging in standard combat against regular enemies. Now, don't misunderstand me. It's not bad, it just leaves a lot to be desired. There's no platforming, no traversal mechanics whatsoever, so you're making your way through corridor after corridor. Granted, they're beautiful corridors, and while they're certainly designed in such a way that you're not just walking in a straight line, it sure as hell feels that way. There's not even any environmental hazards to avoid or puzzles to solve, which unfortunately means that the only thing Strayed Lights has going for it in terms of gameplay is just the combat, and only the combat. Granted, the combat is good. It's solid. I'd gladly argue that it carries the game gameplay-wise. But if combat's the only thing your game's got going for it gameplay-wise, I would argue that the developer should have leaned into the combat even more. Because there are decent stretches of the game where for several minutes at a time, you are just walking through these environments. Just walking. And walking some more with no combat whatsoever. While the music is pleasant to listen to, and the visuals, well, I don't mind gawking at the visuals, I can nonetheless most certainly understand anyone playing this game wishing that there was just a little bit more substance in between boss battles. Lastly, we have the story. Now, make no mistake, I completely understand the intention of the developers. I get what they were going for, using visuals and visuals alone to tell the story and express the emotion of the characters and the situations that they are in. And for the most part, I'd say it works. It hits those emotional beats, and I have a general understanding of what's kinda going on here. However, there is one integral character in the story that is just never explained, and that's the primary antagonist of the game, the villain, the darkness, your shadow self. Who the fuck is he? Where the fuck did he come from? What the fuck does he want? This integral character of the story, the villain of the story, is just a giant question mark. With all the other characters in the story of Strayed Lights, the protagonist and all the bosses, I understand their motivations, I understand the situation they're in, I understand the type of character and story they're going for here. The villain? He's just a big evil bad guy who's evil and hates our protagonist for some reason that's never explained. You can tell an emotionally impactful story with no spoken dialogue. Hell, I'd go as far to say Strayed Lights actually showcases that with most of its bosses. But then we have the villain, and he just is. He just exists, and I'd be lying if I didn't say that bothered me. But besides my gripes with the narrative of Strayed Lights and how I wish there was just a bit more to the gameplay in between the boss battles, I cannot deny that Strayed Lights is a really well-made game. As a piece of art, it's beautiful. As a third-person melee action game, its combat is solid. As an overall product and experience, I can't help but recommend Strayed Lights and admit I really liked the game. I really enjoyed my time with it. Hell, you know what? It's another brilliant example as to why I love indie video games. Now, if I've been able to sell you on this game and piqued your interest, Strayed Lights is available on PlayStation, Xbox, Switch, and PC. Check out the game, purchase it if you can afford to, and help support a brand new indie dev with their very first game. Really excited for whatever developer Embers has in store for us in the future. Anyways, that's been a video. Thank you for watching. If you did indeed like the video in any way, shape, or form, please be sure to hit the like button, leave a comment in the comment section down below, and if you want to help out and support this video, then please share it on social media, Twitter, Reddit, and Facebook. And if you want to help out and support me directly, please consider making a donation via the YouTube Super Thanks feature, or by clicking on the links to my Buy Me a Coffee or Ko-Fi pages, links in the description down below. Anyways, once again, that's been a video. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you all later.